Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Create Eudaimonia podcast. And today we're talking about how to create spiritual freedom and through spiritual discipline. And so through this podcast, in this journey, our whole goal is to figure out how to create eudaimonia, which is the ancient Greek philosophy for creating a life of human flourishing, sustained happiness, and fulfillment. And so in order to have this good spirit within ourselves at every moment of every day, that is literally the goal, is to create this life that brings us joy and peace and creativity and love and light and beauty, is through these daily practices and daily habits. And so one of the things to creating eudaimonia is creating this sense of spiritual freedom. Spiritual freedom comes from spiritual discipline. And so today we're going to be discussing spiritual discipline. The last 3 episodes have been about discipline in different forms. And so in the first episode, we talked about discipline of the mind and how to discipline our thoughts, because our thoughts determine our entire lives. So it starts in our mind, and then also how to discipline our body through movement and what we're nourishing ourselves with, what we're consuming, both content-wise and food-wise, and how to discipline our bodies. And so go back and watch those other episodes if you haven't already. But without further ado, let's get into today's episode. So you cannot create a life of spiritual freedom if you're pouring from an empty cup. I'm sure you've heard this before. So in order to feel this feeling of sustained joy and satisfaction and pleasure and peace, what really brings that, and from my own experience, it's through sharing your beauty and sharing your creativity to the other people around you in your life. And so I found the most joy teaching art and sharing art with other adults, because when I show them, you can literally make a beautiful work of art with a simple doodle, and seeing that spark come out of them and seeing that aha moment that they can realize that they are an artist too, that to me is the most fulfilling feeling. And it brings me so much peace and joy and creativity, and it just literally, I can't even explain it with words, but it fills my soul with so much joy, making others feel joy. But the prequel to that is I had to do the work first. I had to sit in silence for hours and be by myself. And I had to figure this out by myself first for such a long time, and discover my own unique talents and nurture my own creative soul and my own creative spirit and my own creative talents, and practice and do it for myself first and fill my own cup first before I can pour in and fill up the cups of others around me in my life. And so this is such a very important lesson that I have literally learned through doing. And it's such an important step to creating eudaimonia, because again, this human flourishing aspect of eudaimonia, the way to flourish as an individual is to uplift and encourage the other people around you in your life to also flourish alongside you. And so it's so important that you focus on yourself first. You focus on your own mental discipline first. You focus on your own physical discipline first. And it takes a lot of self-reflection and self-reflection, honestly, and self-criticism. You have to acknowledge first that you need to change. And honestly, that's the biggest pause and the biggest stopper for a lot of people in this journey, and why people feel stuck, or they can't create eudaimonia in their life. They can never find that happiness or that joy that they wish that they could experience, or that love or that peace. The reason they can never get to that feeling, because they're in a place where they cannot take the courage to look in the mirror and acknowledge that something needs to change and something is wrong and something needs to be different than what it is currently. And so again, it's coming out of our comfort zone and pushing ourselves to become the better version of ourselves. And so when I was younger, I was oh my gosh, like I am lazy, I am not motivated. I was like, I'm always like sluggish and like sad. And this is like back in like high school. And I was like never really inspired or felt motivated. And I really was like sad and like not excited about life. But the moment I started to create art in my first high school class, I literally felt like the beauty of the art pumped inside of me like a different life experience, because the colors and the shapes and the lines that I was playing with and discovering and seeing, and like all of the color and the beauty really transformed my inner world, and it made me want to create that beauty in my external reality. And when I started to look at more beautiful pieces of art and beauty, and then Instagram started to become popular, and I was looking on Instagram and seeing all of this beauty through the app of traveling destinations and all of these things, I started to see the vision. I started to see this alternate reality, this other like vision for my life. And it started with noticing the art and noticing beauty, and then being able to say, I want this, and then going forward to create my own art, and to create and study and learn how to make art, how to create beauty, what to look for, what to study, what the artists of our history were doing to create this beauty, studying their lives, learning about paint and colors and values and textures, and trying to understand how we can amplify our existence here on earth through visuals, through art, and through lines and shapes and colors. It's so fascinating and so cool to think that like if I never had that moment of like experiencing that kind of bliss from my first experience like creating art as an adult, it's like that's what triggered me to go into this movement of momentum to create and create and create and create and create. And so last night, I have to tell you guys a story. So last night I had a dinner party with over 8 female business owners, and each female business owner is creating eudaimonia in their own way and in their own life, and they're sharing their talents with others, and it's so fulfilling for each one of them. It just radiates from their heart and soul and from every inch of their being, and it just shows that they are so full of joy and bliss and like gratitude for this life, and they share so much beauty. And honestly, our job as women in society is to create that beauty, is to show our spiritual experience through color and life. And so one of the girls, her name is Stephanie, she's an event planner at Vini Events, and she does events, but it's not like regular events that you think like a boring like event. It's colorful, it's floral, it's like beautifully curated, it's so delicately chic and stunning, and it's like everything she touches is just like beautiful because she just has that eye for it, and she brings this whole vision to life. And with the pots that she uses, and like the plates, and like the styling, and even down to like the text on the stationery, everything is so thought out and methodical and so beautiful, and it just creates this experience for the person attending the event that it like transports you into another world. Like literally, I've been to one of her events, and it's like you feel like you are entering into another dimension, you're entering into another new reality. It's like you're leaving behind, you know, all of the mundane boringness of your life, and you're stepping into literally like Wonderland, like Alice in Wonderland. It's like the tea party table. Like that's what I imagine Stephanie's events like. It's like you're going down the rabbit hole, and you're experiencing this new, colorful, beautiful reality, and she creates it intentionally, and she brings everyone around her into this new world. Oh my god, I have like chills just like talking about it, but it's like so cool. I can't even like, I hope I explained it good, because honestly it's just so transcendental. It's like transformative. Like it's crazy. It's so cool. And one of the other amazing female business owners is my good friend Caitlin Jecklin of Once Upon a Dollhouse. And she is a beautiful fashionista. I walked into her closet and I was like, jaw dropped. Like literally her closet is not just clothes, it's a collection of fashion and art. Her clothes are art. It's like every piece of clothing that she owns and wears is a piece of art. And it's colorful, it's bright, it's fun, it's whimsical. It's like her dopamine dressing. I love that word, like dopamine dressing, but it's like I see it whenever I go anywhere with her. People love her clothes. People are like, oh my god, like that is like the cutest thing, because she wears pinks and flowers and colorful things, and just her clothes are living, breathing art. And she exudes that energy and brings it into every single environment that she walks into, because her clothes are bringing that joy into other people's lives. Because when they see that colorfulness, it like brings them inspiration. It's like, oh my gosh, like I want that pink thing. I mean, I felt it ever since I became friends with her. I started to wear more colors. I started to enjoy, dressing up, and like I really have been tapping back into my own love for fashion because of her influence. And it just goes to show again, like she's living and creating eudaimonia in her own life through like pouring into herself, pouring into her fashion and her love for clothing and her love for color and playfulness and childlike wonder. Like she literally dresses like an adult 5-year-old in the best way, because it's like 5-year-old people are like so happy and colorful and bright and like joyful, and like that's what she is as an adult. And like honestly, like that is the goal. The goal is to tap into your childlike self and rediscover like what it is that brought you joy when you were a kid, and start to live that life now in the present moment. Like wherever you are in your adult life, is to tap back into that inner child and do the things that made you happy as a kid right now in the present. Okay, so we had Stephanie with the events, transporting us into another world. We have Caitlin with her beautiful clothing that brings so much joy. And then we have Yota. She is the Olive Muse on Instagram, and she is a private chef. And so what she does, growing up in her own house from a young girl, her dad and her would like cook together, and she learned all of these amazing like Greek cooking secrets from her dad. And she loved cooking as a kid and like through her teenage years. And then now as an adult, she loves cooking and bringing people together. And so she hosts these insane parties. I go to her Friendsgiving every year, and she hosts these like giant parties, and she cooks, basically caters like a party for like 30 plus people. But the food is so mouthwateringly delicious. I can't even explain it to you. It's so well thought out. She literally plans the whole entire menu and puts so much love into every single thing that she makes, and everything just tastes so good, and it like is plated so beautifully that every dish is a work of art in itself. And then when you taste it, it's like bringing that sensation of taste into your life. We have like all of these different things, like the clothing that you touch, the atmosphere that you experience, the food that you taste. Like each of these business owners is really pinging on a different emotional sensation and human experience and sharing it with others. And so when other people come into Yota's world, they get to taste this amazing food and get transported into this like honestly like Ratatouille euphoria moment of like, oh my god, flavor explosion in my mouth, like this is amazing. And it's just like such an amazing like gift that she's able to share with the world. And now she's doing private chefing, and she will literally come to your house and cook you a private chef dinner. And she does these cocktails. Oh my god, everything she touches is just so good. So she's definitely creating eudaimonia in her life. And then we have Margarita. Margarita is the founder of Hinsdale Table. And this thing is so cool because she bought like all these really colorful, beautiful plates. She has like this crazy plate collection, and she rents them out to people. And she curates these beautiful dinner parties. And just like Stephanie, she literally transports you into another world. It's not like a plain, boring dinner plate. It's like the food that you're eating on, or the table itself, becomes the canvas and becomes the work of art. And it's just like so cool to watch how the florals and the little lamps and the vases and the silverware and the napkins and the tablecloths and the linens. Like, she's so passionate about like different types of linens and different types of plates, and she's such an expert in her field. And like, her art supplies are the different place settings and the way that she sets the table. And so when the table is set, it brings color to the table, but it also brings color to the conversations and to everyone who sits around the table. And so it's just like so cool. Like, literally, I can't even explain it. It's like you sit down at this like stunning table, and maybe too, this is because I grew up in a house where we only used white plates my whole life, and like there wasn't anything like special or like colorful or cool about our food, and it was more like survival. Whereas like this is like another layer of living. It's like a crazy elevated version of life. It's like you are not only surviving, but you are thriving, and you are showing up and experiencing the world through color, and you're eating on these beautiful plates, and it just feels so like luxurious and so special and so like intimate. And just like bringing that emotion and sharing it with everyone at the dinner party is just like the coolest thing in the world. I love that. And then we also had a diamond designer. So this girl, her name is Parin, and she owns Diamond Soiree, and she decked all of the girls out in diamond jewelry. And she's 22 years old, and she designs diamond jewelry, and it is so cool that like from such a young age she was like, I'm going to pursue my passions. I love doing this. And she's so good at what she does. Each piece is like handcrafted and designed to like evoke this like emotion and like beauty. Again, like her pieces are like diamonds in the shape of flowers, and it's just like elevates your everyday reality into this new world of beauty and joy and color. And she just like adds this extra sparkle of love. So I loved learning about her process and everything that she does. So that was like super cool. And then we have Molly Grace, and Molly is a professional photographer. She went to art school, which is really cool, and she like learned how to paint, and she knows like all of like the technical art things about making art, but she is a photographer. She's such an amazing person, and the way that she captures people is so insane. Like the way that she looks at the world and like sees light and color and shadow, and how she like plays with everything, and like how she captures things is just beyond. It's like she sees the world through the rose-colored glasses, and she captures it through a photograph, and then she takes you along with it, because then once you get to see her photos, you see through her eyes. And so again, like ticking off all of our senses, it's like you see through her eyes, what is she experiencing, and then you get to experience it right next to her. So that is like super, super, super cool. And I am like obsessed with everything that she does. And the last amazing woman business owner that we collaborated with for this magical night was Grand and Elm, and her name is Tayler, and she is like the coolest person ever. She's so sweet. She totally sees the world through rose-colored glasses, and she told us her story of how she got into floral arrangements. But basically, she was very ill in the hospital, and her husband would bring her flowers to her bed, and she would arrange them, and it brought her life and encouragement and joy. And then after that, she was just like, I gotta keep doing this. And so she kept creating floral arrangement after floral arrangement after floral arrangement, and she just creates these beautiful arrangements with orchids and peonies and these beautiful bleeding heart flowers. Like, I've never even seen that flower before, but I thought it was so beautiful because it literally was shaped like a heart. Again, like totally out of this world, like things that you don't get to experience every day that transport you into another reality. And that's what she does with these arrangements. I feel like it's like when you look at them, they're so whimsical and beautiful. You do feel like you're down in the rabbit hole with Alice in Wonderland. And so it was just so cool getting to meet everyone and learn about them, hear their stories of how they got started and why they love doing what they're doing. And that just goes to show too that creating eudaimonia can look different for every one of us. And it doesn't have to be painting, but it can be floral arranging. It can be creative plant, like event planning. It could be plates and tablescaping. It could be florals. It could be clothes. It could be food. It could literally be whatever brings you joy. And so that's why I want to encourage you through this podcast to really focus on, again, what made you happy when you were little, and just do that thing over and over and over again unapologetically. And just do it and do it and do it and do it, and then just keep doing it. And then even when you feel like you're bored of it, just do it anyways, and then share that talent or share that joy that you've experienced. Share it with other people. Start showing people what you're doing. Start sharing it. Start posting about it. Make a separate Instagram page and post about it, or post about it on your regular page. Just like post it and share it. And that's like what I think too, the beauty of Instagram and TikTok and social media and YouTube is like the ability that we have now in this day and age to share our love and our information with each other. And so I love that about like this time period that we're in. It's like we have the opportunity to share our passions and what we love to do with a larger audience. And so that's why I started this podcast too. It's because I have so much wisdom and philosophies and ancient like history and life lessons to share with you guys. And it's like I love having these conversations around the dinner table, at the watercolor workshops that I host. I love having these philosophy conversations while we paint. And so I was like, I just want to continue and create this platform to share this information because everyone loves to hear about how to create eudaimonia. So it's like, if you're passionate about it, just start talking about it and start recording yourself and start like sharing what you know and what you love, and beautiful things will come from it. And so I am so grateful that I'm doing this and that I'm here with you guys today and that you're here with me. And so thank you. And so in order to really give and help and inspire others, you really have to practice sitting alone in solitude and really listen to yourself too, because I think a missing part that we really need in order to create eudaimonia is the spiritual discipline of solitude and finding that inner peace. And honestly, in today's day and age, it's a little tricky and difficult and uncomfortable because of all the technology and all the voices and all of the pings and all of this busyness that we're used to. It really is hard to find and carve out time to be still and to be at peace. And so this can look different for everyone, but for me, this solitude time comes when I am painting and when I'm creating these abstract watercolor pieces. It really forces my mind to rest and my body to be still, and it really silences my thoughts. It allows me to go inwards and think about what I desire and what I want and what I need, and like process any emotions that feel stuck within me and just like let it out through my nervous system, through the body. And it's this very cathartic release of moving my hands and processing these thoughts and channeling this energy of love and gratitude and any prayers, I guess, any desires, anything that I want, to let it down on paper. And so I think too, this is a fun topic of asking for what you want and watching it come to life. And I know that the word manifesting is really popular nowadays, and everyone's like, I'm gonna manifest my dream life, I'm gonna manifest what I want in this life. And I think this does relate to spiritual freedom, because manifesting starts within your own heart and your own trust in yourself and your own belief in God's love for you, and the reality that if you ask, you shall receive. And you really have to just like believe in that mindset, and it really does happen. And so for me, as a little girl, I always had a beautiful relationship with God. I loved the flowers that he made, and I would thank him for every little beautiful thing I experienced. And I would sing when I was little, and I feel like when I was like a young girl, I really loved everything about creation, and it spiraled into my adult life now. But I remember as a kid, I would pray for things, and I would pray and pray and pray and pray. And one example for this is for my husband, because since I was honestly like a 2-year-old little girl, or 3 years old, my mom had us every single night on our hands and knees, and we would do prayers at night together. And every night we would pray, God, please bring me a true Orthodox Christian to marry and be my husband. And so we would say this prayer every single day, every single day. And so obviously from the age of 2 to 20, so for almost 20 years, I said the same prayer over and over and over again. And lo and behold, I did meet an amazing, true Orthodox Christian that I was married to be my husband. And he is so gentle and so kind and so amazing, and everything I could have ever asked for. And it's like, I really do believe that like those repetitive prayers is what led me to him, even though through my teenage years, when I did drift away from my belief and from God and from, you know, my own spiritual self, honestly, those teenage years were like very rough for me. Between like 15 and 19, it was just like, I don't even know who that person was. She was like a wild, crazy cat. I love her, but she was crazy. But it's like, those were like some really tough years in my life. And it's like at the tail end of it, God was like, I'm listening to that prayer that you've been saying your whole life, and you're gonna get what you've been asking for. And I got my husband. And honestly, like after that, I've become the best version of myself. I've, you know, had my art degree. I started painting full time. I started teaching. I started doing what I love. I literally got back to being like that joyful little girl that I used to be now in the present moment because of him. And so God knew what he was doing, you know? So I think that's really cute. And then another example too is I used to pray for a dog all the time. I always wanted a dog, and now I have one, and he's amazing. I used to pray, we lived in like a small townhouse growing up, and I used to pray for a house with like a big yard. I got the big yard. It's literally right here. It's like so amazing. But again, it's like I'm literally living in my past self's prayers, and I have seen this really play out time and time again in everything in my life. But it obviously doesn't happen like overnight. It really takes patience and time and repetition and continual asking. And so my newest ask is to eventually be able to live in Greece part-time and be on the beach during the winter and not have to spend winters in Chicago, because I love Chicago, but I don't like the winters. And so my new prayer is figuring out a way to not have to be in the winter during the winter months here in Chicago. And whether that's me being in Greece or California or Hawaii or somewhere tropical and beautiful, I don't know yet. I don't really know all of the answers, but I'm starting this prayer, and I know that through the work that I'm doing, through what I'm creating, through, you know, what we're doing in my life, in our lives, and me and my husband's life together, it's like we're gonna find a way to create that reality together. We talk about it, we plan for it, we are like putting the wheels in motion for that dream to become a reality, and we're continuing to pray about it and to be silent and meditate on it and think about it and how it's going to manifest into reality. There's our word again, manifest. But it's like how we're going to create that and how we're going to spin the wheels and take little small daily steps and daily actions to create that new reality. And so in order to create that new reality, you have to have the vision for what it is that you want, and you have to ask for it. It's really that simple. It really is. And it's that simple. Like, it's so simple. You just ask, and you might have to wait a year, you might have to wait 2 years, but eventually it will come to you. And it's just such like a cool blessing. So I love that. So fill your own cup, pray, be still, be silent, listen to your own intuition, listen to your own desires, really dig deep into what it is your heart is craving. And again, like, my heart always craves nature and being somewhere warm, being in the sun, barefoot, in the grass, you know, surrounded by flowers and beautiful plants and the ocean and sunsets, and like, that's what I want every day. And it's like, as much as I love our home here, it's like you can't really experience the beauty of God's creation and nature from a suburban neighborhood, you know, even though I'm so blessed and grateful. But it's just like, that's what I really want, is just to be able to experience nature in a more intimate way every single day. And that's what I'm praying for. So anyways, going on to our next topic of creating spiritual freedom is repentance and forgiveness. And so these two topics are so important for creating this inner feeling of good spirits and joyful spirits, because if you are bogged down by the guilt of doing something wrong, or the guilt of like holding a grudge against someone or anger towards someone, you can never truly be spiritually free and feel this sense of fulfillment and joy and pleasure, because you're holding on to that anger and that misery or that, you know, dis-ease. And it really starts with having core values and knowing what is right and what is wrong, and holding true to your stance on what your ethics are. And so for me, it's being truthful, it's being authentic, it's being the same person I am being with you, that I am with my husband, that I am with my sisters, that I am with my friend, that I am with a complete stranger that I just met. Like, that to me is so important, is to be the same person every single walk of life or anywhere that I go, is just to be consistent in my personality and my identity, and always treat people with kindness and patience and respect and unconditional love, because that is truly the key, is this unconditional love. And it's really, really hard when people in your life do something to hurt you, or do something that really, you know, is not aligned with your morals or your values, or someone does something to you that you would never do to them. It becomes very hard to practice that unconditional love, because the speculation to having unconditional love is you have to love the other person no matter what they do to you, no matter what they say to you, no matter what they act like towards you. You still have to try to understand them from their childhood, from their perspective, from their background, from their education, from their previous, you know, experiences. And you have to kind of put yourself in their shoes and kind of like process why you think they're acting in that way, and then choose to love them anyways, because that is something that I've been practicing recently. I've had a friend who, you know, showed me other parts of herself that I was kind of like saddened by, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, I know that she's a good person. I know that she has a good heart. I know that she maybe was just hurting, or maybe she was upset, you know. And so it's like, you don't automatically go and be like, they suck, they're a horrible person, like they, did me dirty, they did me wrong, or they are horrible, or like I'm never talking to them again. It's like coming at it from a place of like love and saying, you know what, like they might have made this decision that I don't agree with, or I don't respect, or I don't appreciate, but at the same time, it's like I still love them as a human, because at the end of the day, like they were created by God, and God lives within them, and so God lives within everyone. And so it's like looking at, the situation or the person from a more holistic standpoint, and not judging them based off of their actions, but just like loving them regardless of their actions. But this to also say is like, if something, you don't have to be close with everyone. You don't have to be super like close proximity to every single person. If someone does demonstrate to you that their values are not aligned with yours, you can separate yourself from them. You don't have to be in close proximity with these people. You can just distance yourself. You can pray for them from afar. You can love them from afar. You can, wish them well from afar, but you don't have to be engaged in the daily like life of being near them. And so I think that's where discernment comes in, of like, discerning like how much of your energy you're willing to pour forward into certain relationships, and forgiving them for what, might have hurt you, and looking past that and loving them regardless. And so when you do choose to forgive them, it really does like leave you with like a weight lifted off your shoulders, because when you hold a grudge, and when you hold anger and resentment and like hate and like it's just like an icky, gross feeling, and it can give you anxiety, it can give you like panic attacks, it can give you like, you can go in a downward spiral spiritually if you hold on to that anger and you let it consume you. And so that's a choice. You are choosing to let the anger consume you, instead of setting yourself free and forgiving them, and just simply reminding yourself it's okay. Like they are learning, they're human, everybody makes mistakes, nobody's perfect. Like they are created in the image and likeness of God too. God lives within them. Like you just remind yourself of these things, and you choose to set yourself free. Like they can do whatever they want, but at the end of the day, you're choosing to set yourself free emotionally and spiritually by forgiving them, and by choosing to love them anyways, even if that means loving them from far away. And so I hope that is helpful, some fun takeaways for how to manage difficult relationships, is like just forgive them for your own sake, for your own self, and pray for them. Honestly, like pray for them to find joy, pray for them to find healing, pray for them to find peace, pray for them to find fulfillment in their own life. Because honestly, the only reason other people might be hurting you or hurting us is because they themselves are hurting. And so remembering that too is like thinking of like how they are hurting and why their hurt has come on to you, because if they were happy and joyful and creating eudaimonia, they wouldn't be hurting other people. So again, it's just like coming at it from that other mindset, this other perspective, and just being the bigger person and letting it go and forgiving them. And also like repentance is like asking for forgiveness when you do something wrong. If you made a mistake, if you did something to hurt someone, even if it wasn't intentional and it did hurt their feelings, or it did bother them, or it did, rub them the wrong way, or you made someone feel unsafe or uncomfortable, ask them to forgive you. Ask and say like, I'm sorry that I did this to you, or I'm sorry I made you feel that way, or I'm sorry if I caused you pain. Because I mean, as much as we love talking about, the joys in life, you can't experience joy without experiencing the pain and the hardships and working through it and be rising above it. And so acknowledging, yourself that you might have done something wrong, and looking in the mirror and facing yourself is so beneficial. And honestly too, a big trick that I just thought of that I always do this, is whenever I feel like I'm in like some sort of like argument or like altercation, or I feel like someone's mad at me, or we're not getting along, or whatever, whether it's like with a friend or my mom or my dad or my sisters or anyone close to me, I always think, or even my husband too, I'm like, how is this my fault? I always blame myself first. How did I react? How did I respond? Did they perceive my intonation wrong? Like, did I come off too arrogant? Did I come off too prideful? Like, I always blame myself. I'm tapping my head because it's like affirming. Like, always look inwards first. Because at the end of the day, it's like other people's reactions, other people's emotions are a reflection of you. And so everyone is always mirroring each other. We're always mirroring back what we are seeing. And so if I'm coming to the situation with stress or with anger or with, other emotions that are not positive, they're going to mirror that back to me. So if I'm coming at it like aggressively and like defensive, and I know I'm like all peaceful, but sometimes I can get defensive, and I can get like kind of like passionate, and like strongly opinionated. And it's like, how are they're coming on and they're going to be defensive and they're going to be opinionated. And so they're going to mirror whatever I bring to the table. So that's, again, why I always look back at my own self and said, hey, I could have been more patient in this situation. I could have been more kind. I could have been more loving. I could have been more empathetic. I could have been more silent. I could have been, I think, and I critique myself. I don't critique the other person, because the other person is living in their own experience. I critique myself. I always look inward and I judge myself. And I think this really helps a lot with like all relationships, because this puts the fault on you. And it takes a very mature and I think wise person to realize that like the secret to living a life of joy and peace and happiness is to always be self-reflecting and thinking about how you could be better or have, said it differently. And it helps you grow and mature and be more, aware and like emotionally like empathetic towards others. And I just think that it makes your life better, frankly, because then the next time you come to that situation, you're more patient, you're more kind, you're more gentle, you're more forgiving, you're more good. And then it reflects back on how they act towards you. And then it like heals and grows and nurtures and makes that relationship stronger. And so that's what I've experienced in my own life. And I hope you guys can try to use that. Anytime you feel like you're mad at someone, or someone's mad at you, or someone hurt you, just look at yourself. What did I do to cause this? What did I do to do this? And honestly too, this has to go with like business too, and like my art business and my art and like everything that I do. I always tell myself everything is my fault. It's not my husband's fault that I haven't made a sale today, It's not Instagram's fault. It's not, whoever external thing I want to blame. It's always my fault. It's always me. Like, I'm the one that didn't create the marketing content. I'm the one who didn't do the thing. I'm the one who is responsible for my own life. And I think that radical responsibility is what creates that inner trust and that inner joy and that inner freedom of like, no, like this is on me. Like this is not on him. It's not on my mom. It's not on my sister. It's not on, my friend. It's literally on me to create the life that I want. And by me doing that, I will share and spread joy into the lives of others, but I have no one to blame other than myself. And I think too, this realization comes and it like really hits you, and it's just like, it's so freeing to know that you are in charge. It gives you the authority to take over your own life. And it's really that mindset that like makes you want to keep going and keep doing what you're doing, and like everything is my fault. I think it's like a good mantra to remember, because it's like if you don't see the results that you want to see yet, just remind yourself it is up to me to change it. It is up to me to create this thing that I want. It is up to me to pick up the paintbrush and paint today. It is up to me to write today. It is up to me to cook something beautiful today. And that's the thing with my garden. Oh, I wanted to tell you guys about my garden. I am wanting to plant this garden in my backyard, and it's obviously like a big, I don't know, it's kind of a lot of work. It's like digging and this and that, but I'm like, you know what? Farmers are the happiest people. I read that a lot of places, like farmers are happy because they're outside, they're moving, they're physically moving their bodies, they're experiencing beauty and joy through like the plants growing, and I love plants, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna like embrace this, and I'm going to create this beautiful backyard, and I'm going to garden, and I'm going to bring joy into my own life through gardening. But again, it's like, this is my choice. I get to create that beauty. It is a choice that I'm deliberately making. It's my fault that my backyard is ugly right now. It's my fault that there's no plants out there. You know what I mean? It's not anyone else's fault. It's my fault. And so it's up to me to change that reality. It's up to me to go buy the seeds. It's up to me to rake the soil. It's up to me to plant the seeds. It's up to me to water the seeds every day. It's up to me to protect my garden from foxes or hawks or different pests. It's up to me to continue to watch the plants grow and to cultivate that and to pick them and to bring them inside and make flower arrangements. Like literally, it's up to me to do that. It's not on anyone else. It's my decision. It's my life, and I am creating that. You know, and with God's help, the flowers will grow, but it's like God will make the flowers bloom, but I have to put them there. And I think this is like a beautiful analogy too for life, and like praying and manifesting your dreams and asking God and getting, and you know, asking you shall receive, this whole concept. It's like, yes, you're asking, but you're also planting the seed. And it's like, you can plant the seed, you have to till the soil, you have to make sure there's no weeds in the soil, you have to make sure there's no roadblocks or no, you know, no one stopping you. And you are in charge of that. Like, you are responsible for taking the action to put the idea and the motion in place for it to come to fruition, for the seeds to grow. Like, God's the one that does like the little magic twinkle that like allows the seeds to germinate, but it's like, you're the one watering it. You're the one that's giving it an environment to grow. And that's the thing with us as humans. We have to put ourselves in the environment to grow and to create joy and to create beauty. And so our environment is so important. Like, oh my God, like honestly, just even creating this studio, I'm surrounded by paintings, I'm surrounded by art, I'm surrounded by these images of the ocean and the water and nature and the spiritual experience. It's like I'm creating this new reality for myself. These walls could have just been plain white and my whole house could just be like boring, but it's like I choose to bring stories and colors and light and creativity into my daily life through paint and colors and all these beautiful things, and through flowers and all the things. Okay, so I am so grateful that you guys have been here today and you've been listening. Some major takeaways I want you to have from this episode, okay, are some tangible tools that you can do to implement in your life. So the first thing is plan something out of your comfort zone. Do a dinner party with all of your friends. Honestly, I really want you to do it. Do it this week. Like, plan it for next week or next month, whatever it is. Put a date on the calendar. Make a cute invitation for it. Invite your friends. Maybe you go to the thrift store and you collect your own beautiful assortment of beautiful plates. Maybe you find your flowers from Trader Joe's. Make floral arrangements. Make the plates. Make the table beautiful. Try to cook the food yourself or cater it. Who cares? But gather people. Gather the people you love. honestly. And like, oh my gosh, I have to tell you this story just because it made me think of, if you don't have family, or if you don't have friends, or if you don't have anyone in your, you know, in your immediate state where you live, where you can do that kind of dinner party, I want to tell you about my friend Val, because she is living eudaimonia. She is my Instagram friend. We met on Instagram. She lives in Pennsylvania, and she moved to Pennsylvania. She knew absolutely no one. She was so isolated in her apartment. She was like, I'm so lonely. I know no one. I want to gather people. And she had no background in art, had no idea what she was doing, had no experience painting or drawing, but she wanted to gather people and she wanted to create. And so what she did is she started hosting little paint parties at her apartment, literally in her house. She invited complete strangers, just like people from the internet, and was like, hey, does anyone want to paint with me? Does anyone want to paint with me? And people would come. And now she hosts these workshops, and she has groups of like 20 to 30 people coming, and they do these beautiful creative workshops, and they just make art together and gather around the table. And so honestly, that goes to show, like, and this is your homework, to gather more than 3 people around the table. Get you, a friend, another friend, maybe a sibling, a spouse's friend, I don't know. Try to get like 5 to 8 people around your table today or this week. Invite them over, host a dinner party, and gather together. You can create together, you can have appetizers together, you can have drinks together, you can have whatever you want, and just be together, have a conversation. It is so spiritually fulfilling and nourishing to be around other people. And take the time in meditation, in silence, in prayer, to create yourself and to be in silence yourself. And maybe you do these moments as you're preparing for this dinner party. So maybe instead of watching a YouTube video while you cut your flowers, and you listen to your self-talk, and you simply make your floral arrangements in silence for the dinner party. Or maybe you cook for the dinner party in silence. And through that creation state, you're creating the flowers, or you're creating the food, or you're creating the artwork, whatever it is you're doing, do it in silence, and notice what thoughts come up, notice how you're feeling, notice your own emotions, notice and process, you know, your own desires and what makes you happy, and take that time to truly discover and fill up your own cup. Oh my gosh, and this other idea. I'm not gonna lie, ChatGPT gave me this idea because I've never actually done this, but actually, I'm lying. I have done this. I have done this myself, okay? I actually have. I do it in my notes app. If I get mad at someone, I write them a forgiveness letter or like an apology text. And sometimes I send it and sometimes I don't. But if you write out the letter and you say to yourself, like if you do have a grudge against someone or you are upset about something, write a letter. And in that letter, pour out all of your emotions and your feelings and your stresses and your anxieties and whatever's bothering you about what that person did or what you did, and write about it and just let it out through words. Process that situation, write it in the letter, write it on your notes app, and you can decide to send it to that person, or you can decide to just forgive yourself and just to keep it to yourself, and again, love them from far away. Because sometimes, you know, you can just forgive for yourself so that you can feel that emotional release and that burden lifted off of your shoulders. And through writing, it will definitely help. Okay, so homework assignment number 1, plan and host a dinner party, create in silence, preparing for that dinner party. Have your friends together, have a fun night, transcend into another reality through that magical dinner party. I love that idea. So that's one thing you can do for homework. And then the other thing you're going to do for homework is to write that forgiveness letter and to ask for an apology and process, you know, whatever it is you need. Even if it's someone you really love, even if it's someone that's really close to you, maybe you do need to give it to them. You know, if you're in a fight with your spouse or you're in a fight with your sister or someone who's really special to you, write them that letter and just send it to them and just let them read it, and then they can do whatever they want with it, you know? And then it honestly will make your relationship grow stronger, I believe. And then your last piece of advice is to give yourself a virtue of the month. And so for this month, I want you to practice and meditate and pray on this one virtue. And so, for example, if you are finding that you're very short-tempered and you can't stop scrolling and you're feeling like you're in this like rut and you just like don't have patience and you feel like everything needs to be faster, I want you to pick a word, and it could be patience. I need more patience. It could be I need more stillness. I need more gratitude. I need more love, unconditional love. Pick a virtue to study and practice and meditate on. And so for the whole month, whenever you catch yourself about to get angry or about to like act really fast or about to, you know, continue scrolling down a rabbit scroll hole, I want you to pause and think to yourself, I'm going to be patient, and like take like 3 seconds. This is like a good rule. Like do a 3-second count in your head before you react or before you do something. And so I started doing this too because I was like really addicted to TikTok and Instagram, and I was like scrolling. And I told myself this habit needs to stop because I don't want to be on it. And so this has to do with patience, because then I was like, I'm going to count to 3 before I click on the app, before I click on the TikTok app to start watching. And it's like, because like the reflex, like we have such like a reflex to just like press the TikTok button. But I said, no, I'm just gonna like, before I press the button and go into the app, I'm just gonna say in my head to myself, 1, 2, 3. And if I still want to do it, now it's a conscious decision to do it. And I'm consciously choosing to spend some time watching videos instead of it just being like this automatic response. And so that's how patience, and you can practice patience in your life, is using that technique of like counting to 3 in your head before you do it, so that you can, you know, make a more conscious, informed decision rather than that decision being automatic. And this also goes into how you interact with other people, because when I was in high school, when I was younger, my automatic response to talking to my mom, to talking to my dad, to talking to my 2 sisters, it was always like and catty and like very like aggressive and like mean and defensive and like angry and like this, like it was like every word that I said was like mean and quick and witty and just like rare. And at one point I thought to myself, I'm like, I don't like acting like this. Like it doesn't make me happy. Like it just honestly makes me miserable. Again, with the mirroring, it makes them miserable. It's like not fun. And so I started to do that thing where before I reacted to what they said or what they did, I would count to 3 in my head. So if my mom did something completely off the wall crazy, before I said anything, I would just count to 3 in my head. 1, 2, 3. And then I would like process and think before I responded or reacted. Or if my dad did something, I'd be like 1, 2, 3. And like in those 3 seconds, I would kind of think and process, how can I approach this conversation differently? And I would also like breathe in between too. So like 1, 2, 3, and then react. And so not everything has to be like this automatic response. And honestly, changing your habits, because a lot of our habits are automatic. In order to change these habits, you have to be conscious and aware. And so this counting to 3 before reacting is this awareness that you're building within yourself. It's this trust you're building within yourself. So I hope that helps. and gives you encouragement to start making slow changes in your life and bring you more joy and bring you more peace and spiritual fulfillment and joy and pleasure. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you so much for watching. Next week's episode, we're going to be talking about gratitude. I have an amazing surprise announcement coming next week, which is going to be so cool. I can't wait to tell you, but it has to do with gratitude. And we're going to be going into the different kinds of gratitude: gratitude for the world, gratitude for health, gratitude for friendships, gratitude for this life here on earth, and everything in between, and for beauty, for art, for all the things. So get ready for some gratitude, because gratitude is another secret ingredient in our eudaimonia pot, and we need it in order to live a life of sustained happiness and sustained joy. So thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I hope you folded your laundry while you listened, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.